You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey guys, how you doing?
David Hall.
Everybody caught up in your sleep yet?
Greg Hectus.
Boy, do we got a week here, boys.
And welcome back, Tony Rochette.
Hey everybody.
All right. Well, it's been a long time since you've been on. We're happy to have you.
Well, I needed somebody to come on from the aftermath to invade.
Yeah, Tony, the other Tony couldn't make it tonight, so we're glad to have you. Tonight's show, we're talking about a deep dive into the good, bad, and ugly of the 24 Hours of Daytona. A champion is crowned in the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, and we prepare for the start of the NASCAR NIS season. GridFinder is growing fast, and that is good news with nearly 1,000 leagues across 10 different sims and almost 200 iRacing leagues. This is the place to find your next league. League owners, get your leagues noticed and your grids filled. Remember, it is free to search and free to post your league. GridFinder is the home of online sim racing leagues. Visit www.grid-finder.com to find that league or to upload your own. GridFinder is the home of online sim racing leagues. And I've noticed, Brian, that we keep changing the number. I think it was 80 when we started this, and now it's 200.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So check out GridFinder, man, and you can find a league for just about any need that you have as far as iRacing, as far as your scheduling, what kind of cars you would like to drive. So, yeah, check it out. They're a great sponsor, and they provide a great service for anybody looking to join leagues in iRacing.
All right, let's talk championship race.
Yeah, so Monday night was the 10th and final week of the NOS Energy Drink iRacing World of Outlaws Series. That was at the dirt track at Charlotte with Alex Bergeron. He entered the race with a 30-point lead over Hayden Cardwell after Cardwell had a disappointing finish last week at Williams Grove. And Alex is in a great position with that lead to win his third consecutive series championship.
Aussie Tim Ryan posted fast time in qualifying and took the win in the first heat, grabbing the pole for the feature. Heat 2 went to Gregory LeMay after his best qualifying run and best finish in the heats.
Yeah, so Heat 3, Alex Bergeron, he actually started on the outside row beside the pole sitter, who was Kendall Tucker. However, Tucker, he was really fast and consistent and took the win in Heat 3. So Bergeron grabbed second in that heat race. We move on to Heat Race 4, where Hayden Cardwell started on the pole. And he got that much-needed win in Heat number 4 to keep the pressure on Bergeron for the series championship.
So setting up for the feature, we have Tim Ryan on the pole, Cardwell starting P3, and Bergeron P7, needing a top 10 to lock up the championship if Cardwell wins the race. When the green flag dropped, Tim Ryan had the speed to separate himself from the field even after regrouping twice with cautions to win his second race of the year without much of a challenge.
Yeah, Tim Ryan really had the car to beat, and he just separated himself from everybody, really. Cardwell came a little bit close to him towards the end of the race, but Tim Ryan takes the lead, takes the win. Cardwell, he took second from his third starting spot pretty early in the race, but he never really was able to give Tim Ryan a challenge for the win. So Cardwell finished P2, which means Alex Bergeron needed an 11th or better finish to take the championship. So Bergeron started 7th. He had some tense moments early in the race. There was some really heavy traffic from that P7 starting spot, and he eventually did clear the heavy traffic without any damage or any incidents. He worked his way, got up to 4th place. He sat there very comfortably. There was nobody really around him to cause any problems. And so he finished 4th place. place, and that gave him his third straight title, and he took home the series championship and that $10,000 prize for first place.
And why hasn't a real World of Outlaws team picked this kid up yet? I mean, he obviously is getting it done.
Yeah, he mentioned in the post-race interview when Chase Rodman was interviewing him that, he really wants to get in these cars for real. This will be the third, I think second year where a part of the prize package has been to drive one of these cars in real life. And so he's said he's going to take these winnings and apply it towards real racing. So we'll see how that emerges for Alex. He's obviously a very talented driver. I think it can, from everything we've seen with so many of these sim drivers, this can translate to the real world. And, if somebody picks him up or is able to sponsor him and gets him in the equipment that he's going to need to be fast, I don't see any reason why he can't be a real, a serious contender for making the real world outlaw championship. Only downside is we might lose him in this series, but so what a great season for Alex. Hayden Cardwell also had a fantastic season. Just that 1 week last week that where Cardwell had some issues that really kept us from being an absolute nail biter of a finish to the season. But so congratulations to Alex, Hayden Cardwell, and Kendall Tucker, who actually finished third in points. Congratulations to all those guys, and we'll see them next year, and we'll see some of them in a couple months when the late models resume with their next season.
You guys ready for some Coke news?
Bring it.
Well, we start with William Byron Esports posting a video announcing that Coke Series champion Nick Ottinger and Logan Clampett are returning to their roster.
Logan's new to the roster. Nick is the returning champion. But a big move for Logan Clampett. He left Parker Kligerman Esports, or Kligerman Burton Esports, and now over at the reigning champion William Byron. I think that's a pretty good move for him.
Yep. We also heard from Junior Motorsports.
Yeah, so it looks like Junior Motorsports isn't going out on a limb and changing drivers this year. It looks like they're retaining the drivers they had last year, and we got Conti and Brad Davies again return for the 2021 season, which was a good signing. They had a great year, and I look forward to seeing how they can do again for Junior.
Well, we know Brad Davies isn't going anywhere. He actually works at Junior Motorsports in the shop, so he's definitely going to be there. But Mike Conti, I mean, he had a great run this year, and like you said, they both worked together and had good runs together. So continue on that.
What do you think? What do you think it would be like working in the shop if he didn't take him in this season?
It could be some tense moments there, I would think, right? Some awkward moments, possibly.
Isn't there another Coke driver that runs for or works for Stuart Haas, and he didn't get picked up by Stuart Haas this year? He hasn't been announced yet. I forget his name. Anyways,
I'm sure if it ended up being they just couldn't pick him up, they probably did something else to make them feel better.
Well, everyone's getting picked up.
I thought Brad Davies had a kind of a resurgence last year. He was really competitive last year, this is a great team. One of the heavy hitting teams of the season, I believe.
Okay. Speaking of great teams, Space Station Gaming, which is one of the new teams this year, has announced just today Malik Ray and Vicente Salas, who both are recent guests on this show. And these guys take the award for best announcement so far of the Coke drivers on social media. They got a video they put out of an actual NASCAR with the proper space station paint job. Malik Ray up on the door, It's got his number on the car and so forth. And then the same thing with Vicente. It had his name and number, and they got to take their photo basically or video at the side of the car, and it looks really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Malik Ray was peeling off the sticker that had his name above the window. It was really pretty cool. Cool video, really nice. And the cars themselves are really nice looking cars.
I love the paint job.
I wonder where they shot that at.
One thing I noticed is whenever they showed the Malik Ray shots in the video, it was the right side of the car. And whenever they showed Vicente, it was the left side of the car. So I'm thinking it's the same car with different door numbers on each side, and then they put the driver name different on each side, and they just reused the same car, repurposed the same one.
Still pretty awesome, though, to have you be able to go on location and shoot that.
We'll have to get Bobby to tell us how much it cost us just to slap that wrap on there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. They're in a big old room, a stage that's all white, and they got the car in there, and obviously the wrap. It looks great.
All right, guys, so we're going to go to some more results. This time it's going to be the E-Short Course World Championship Cup. We talked about this last week. It's sponsored by Jim Beaver and Fistful Bourbon. And the winner was Holden Heitritter. And he takes the win in that event. And remember, this is going to be broadcasted. This replay is going to be rebroadcasted on CBS Sportsnet on February 14th at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, which it's just about the time the Daytona 500 starts. But still, that's why they make DVRs, right?
Yeah, I want to watch it for sure. It looks like it's going to be pretty cool.
Last week we talked about brick by brick, and it got some attention with iRacing too. And David Tucker chimed in and said that they're going to add support for dual throttle and brake inputs in iRacing, letting him be able to combine the paddles if he needs to, or to use the handbrake and paddle together as well. Now he already was able to combine the pedals, interestingly, because if you have the analog axis, at least I know on the advanced pedal module, you can basically make them both control the same pedal or clutch or whatever you want to. But the fact that they're paying attention to something like this, they do, but it lets you know they're watching as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that, iRacing, within a week of, Robert Wicken's video saying, hey, I wish you did this. Hey, they've already got it in the code, and they're going to release it.
Yeah, iRacing's a great platform for that kind of thing because, you can do that thing all in software and, as opposed to a real car, if you were trying to do something like this, it would take a lot more engineering, where iRacing can probably just write some software code to make something like this happen, like almost right away. And, so now Robert Wickens, who broadcasted this video, who's the topic of this video series, so he can check this. He can get this thing working like right away and check it out. Maybe get some input as to how well it works, and maybe make any adjustments to it if they need to. That's a pretty cool thing that is very specific that iRacing can handle without any trouble.
Right, just takes David Tucker an hour or two probably to write some code and do a little testing, and boom, it's done. Next up, somebody on the forums, Robert Perry, was asking, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to spot, but what's the best way to get the right perch, up above where you can see? And so I actually weighed in and told him, and I thought this is a good reminder for our listeners, hey, get on a camera and then hit Control F12. That opens the camera tool, which then will allow you to use the keys A, S, D, and W along with Control or Alt or alone, and that will move the camera about. And I usually do like far chase, and then I go up in the air like 20 yards, and I go to the inside of the track about 50 yards. and I'm looking at a side view. And that's usually the best way to spot with the triples, because you can see the cars in front to the left and the cars behind and on the right side, and so forth. Another neat trick to move the camera around, but isn't really great for spotting, is you can hit Control-Z and then move your mouse while holding down the mouse buttons and fly around like a bird.
See, the other thing that I found, I use this for video editing and stuff too, but I've got myself an Xbox controller that I've mapped all the buttons on that control the cameras, and I can move it around that way, just like I'm driving around the car. I can use the controller that way. So if you have like a spare Xbox controller or something like that, you can map those buttons to anything and move around the world any way you would like with the controller.
That's almost like controlling a drone flying around, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, that's how you get some of these shots that are being shown in some of these replays and stuff, the way that they video edit it. That's how they're doing it. Like, it's so much easier to record something and just use a controller freeform moving around, and you can get like the best shots that way.
I'll have to remember that for the next Ladies of iRacing race.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
One more tip is use the stationary camera, like pit road camera, and then move that one. Because if you're on a chase, you're following a particular driver. But if you're on the pit road camera, it's stationary, and you can go position yourself up in the stands and be sitting like at the top row, at the center, at the start-finish line or whatever, and stop and be sitting in the stands, and then use the Control-Z to turn your head from left to right.
Do you think...
that's cool.
Oh, sorry, Brian.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you think iRacing should have a default, at least for the ovals side, like a spotter where it goes, the first spotter thing is where they actually stand at the track?
Stand. That would be cool. Like a camera that's called spotter, right?
Yeah, and then what they should do is they should kind of create like a binoculars vision with it.
Push a button and it gets zoomed in, or...
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
And that wouldn't be just handy for spotters, but live admins who actually like to call their cautions could use that as well.
Yeah.
Right, because what I was just thinking real quick was that, when you, as a driver, because my kid was just talking to me about this because he does some racing games on his PlayStation, and he's like, how come you can't watch drive from behind the car? I was like, well, this is a simulation. You drive the car from inside the seat. That's where you actually see when you're driving. Why can't there be a simulation for spotters to be in the same spot that the spotter would be at the race? And maybe have the option for binoculars and stuff to make it more of a simulation for the spotters as well.
Do you think that if you're David's saying there with the admin, do you have to go into a race control inside the building then? And sit in there?
Behind the glass.
Well, they usually also have access to all the camera footage as well as an aerial view. And they also have a spotter in all the corners calling out accidents and debris and stuff like that.
Well, speaking of, maybe where the spotter told them to stay on the track here. Do you think this next post here was brought up in the forums? John Brown posted a video of someone taking the win on the in the TCR on the outside at Spa on the exit. So on that track, that's just a 1X on the exit there. There's no slowdowns because you used it as an escape route to get around. It looks like obviously he was being forced off the track and with the way that they were racing there, but I don't know. This always is a gray area. If you use off-track limits, does it consider it a win?
It is. I mean, a win is a win is a win. Did he get a black flag for it? No.
He was forced off the track, clearly, so that makes it a very gray area.
Well, he was doing what he was supposed to be doing, avoiding contact too, right? I mean, there is another.
He didn't avoid it. He got hit and pushed out.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he was trying to avoid the contact. But there also is another video showing the same driver doing a thing on the corner before that, egregiously taking the runoff there, which I don't like that one. That one seems a little more risky and not really a legitimate pass. You can't really go out there to make a pass on somebody.
Well, maybe they need to have a slowdown for going out there.
That one should have a slowdown, and I think they took that away when they did all those other problems, didn't they, David?
I was surprised he didn't get a slowdown. When I looked at it, I was like, how did he do that without getting a slowdown? So I'm not sure. But they can protest it and let iRacing figure it out.
Season
it doesn't say.
Friday.
Oh.
So if you go onto the forums...
I think we just lost Brian. He kind of came in and out. Yeah, he cut in and out and then dropped out. So I'll take his topic up and be kind of winging it here. Tyler Hudson has announced that the community-based Season 2 schedules are, and the length of race requests are due or open actually until February 12th. And we have a bunch of links on the show notes. You can check it out at the site. So go on there if you want input on the track choices.
Yeah, this is just a sampling of the links. They're basically going to every single series has their own forums, and he posted in each and every one of them. This is just 5 of the however many there are. But, yeah, if you want to participate and put in the schedule together, you have to go in there and work as a team, as a community, and provide that input.
Every series needs the iRacing Speedway.
I was just going to
there
say...
you go.
Does that series have the Carburetor Cup? Is there one in there too for that, so that you can kind of request that next time? As
No, I don't actually. Now that you say that, I don't think that one is, or series like that. No.
But they already did run there. It just wasn't the very next week. But I'm sure it was the highlight of Mike's day.
released December's top 10 members highlights, and I haven't had a chance to see this video, but these videos are usually really good.
Greatness.
It's these videos are always just entertaining to get through and see. Like the first one here that we're watching here is obviously the Porsches racing at Spa and going 3 wide down the backstretch or down the long straight.
Yeah, there's a really nice win on the new iRacing Super Speedway that was 3 wide, and that was really close. That one was really good.
These are always, like I said, they're always well done, and it's definitely a good that they keep doing these.
And then the new Dallara car, it's cool to see those guys mixing it up on track. I didn't buy that car yet, and haven't seen it much, so it's kind of cool to see it.
Well, you guys ready to hit the elephant?
All right, let's talk 24 hours. We got it in 3 sections. We're going to talk before the race, during the race, and after. So before, hey, Daytona, we have a problem. Apparently, while I was at work, you guys were trying to get registered for the race, and it didn't work. And some 4.5 hours later, I think it was, is when the race got started. So, David, you were part of that. Tell us from your perspective what happened.
Oh, it was basically 4 hours of anxiety and deja vu, right? Because we had the same issues happen with Le Mans. We signed up and it span, and the servers never launched.
Well, I think the biggest anxiety there, sorry, Tony, I think the biggest anxiety there is if it all of a sudden gets going, are you going to get missed, right?
Yeah, there's that, definitely, because I've got my points that I know I planned on hitting, so I guess I'll hit them right now because we're talking about pre-race. No, I'll save those points. I'll hit those a little bit later. But yeah, you're definitely worried about when there's only 30 minutes whether or not you're going to get any time to practice or not.
I'll say you had anxiety. I was at work and I was on TeamSpeak in the phone on my phone and trying to coach David Flowers in on the start there, and it like I said, it kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and 4 hours later we're sitting there trying to figure out our schedule, and it luckily ended up working out for us.
Yeah, everybody, I'm sure, had to adjust their schedules. We had a couple of guys who had to be gone for work, and so I had to shift my second shift around to the middle of the night, basically.
Well, even ours, like I was trying to judge it off because I think we had switched Tom and myself on our race, and it just screwed up what I was trying. You know, you're trying to figure out where you're going to slot in eventually, and then I was supposed to be done before it even got into the late night, and now I'm driving at like midnight and stuff, and we've been up since 8 a.m. trying to figure it all out, right?
Right, so it makes it a lot longer day. It's not a 24-hour day, it's a 29-hour day, So what was also interesting, and I was at work and kind of watching on my phone what was happening, social media during the 4.5-hour delay was interesting for sure. I mean, people irate, the typical, cancel culture. People were out there. There's other people that were providing try to say constructive feedback. One of them was champweb.net on Twitter. He wrote a long essay almost to Steve Myers, Dale Jr., and even John Henry about what they should do about this.
Yeah, he hit that they were pretty displeasured with it, and they suggested that next season be focused on infrastructure and personnel updates instead of new vehicles and track releases.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, like you said before, they have a habit of this happening, it seems like, with the big events, and they really need to get away from that. But
I think the biggest issue, I guess, I warned us last week about this could possibly happen. But, the Friday night one didn't have a huge problem because of the amount of people. Obviously, it's the Saturday one that always seems to, that's the one that attracted the most people. So, it was an unexpected amount of splits that was being created, and they just didn't have the stuff. But do you think, I just don't know if you divert some of your resources to try and fix some of these problems, but iRacing's done a hell of a good job over the years trying to get their content and everything out that they do. I don't think you should be deserting that path to change it all of a sudden, because we're going to get what happens when Tony doesn't get stuff for his ovals. You're going to have all these people complaining, oh, now there's no content, and then you're going to lose people too. So what do you do, right? Like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right?
Yeah, nobody will be happy.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about some of what they're going to do and what they do later on in the topic. So the next thing is the actual race happened, Brian.
Yeah, so one of the first posts that came up was Ty Majeski. So we all know Ty Majeski, the late model driver. He's an excellent late model driver. He posted that on Twitter. He's anticipating the 24-hour race, and also posted a video explaining that his vaunted sim rig, which everybody who knows about him. He just races on a laptop computer with an old G27 clamped to a desk. That's the only thing he's ever used. But when he was practicing with it, it was fine. But when he started to get into sessions with a whole lot of people, it was not working for him. So he had to abandon his sim rig, if you want to call it a rig. And luckily his roommate is Derek Kraus, and he has a very nice VRX rig that he used. So that was his backup rig, which kept him racing that day.
Another post I found in the forums during the race, it said, from Alexander Gingler from Illinois, he said, I know this was an old post, but someone in my 24 hours had a hot mic and got arrested for breaking into an office complex in his apartment building for internet since his didn't work. Once his mic got stepped over and we couldn't hear him, anymore. His teammate kept us informed.
This is like that van stuff that we were talking about when the guy was in his van racing and, you can't hear the cops. It's like, what are these things that go on when we're racing?
What kind of felony will you commit to run the 24 hours of Daytona?
Good point. Oh, that's funny.
There might be a good title idea, too.
Well, I know Casey Kerwin might have wanted to commit a felony after what happened to him.
So
I think he was a victim of a felony there.
So Casey posted on Twitter here. I guess actually it was Jimmy Broadbent posted it, but he got absolutely destroyed by a car. I guess it obviously got off into the grass, and I can't remember what that turn's name is, but you just have nowhere to go. You're turning in, and that car is coming through the grass, and they're not stopping. They're pretty. You're pretty done.
I think they're on the same team, but that ended their day because they really got nailed.
This looked like something happened in our split.
Anytime one of those prototypes gets hit in the side, that's usually the worst damage because it just won't get fixed. You take if your wing or front clip gets messed up, they can actually just swap those out, and you're right back to new.
Some other post-race notables: Beast Racing team owner Drew Adamson, who is also a recent guest, celebrated his team win with the Beast Racing drivers Brock Hopkins, Ellis Davis, Payne Faust, and Jack Wells. They won. Cool for Drew.
Nice paint job on that car, too.
We also had ABK Allen Sports team, which featured Rubens Barrichello, Ali Bacala, Isaac Gillison, and Fernando Alonso. And they took it to second place in their respective splits. And I hope I came close on those pronunciations.
I think it's so cool that Fernando's in the race. I just think that's awesome.
Who was the winner of that one if you got those top-class drivers?
Well, you know who won the top split, right?
Or are they in the top? Were they in the top split one? Were they?
No, they were not.
Yeah, I didn't think so. No. I didn't think they were in the ones Rogers and them.
I'll give you one. Well, you just guessed it. It was Rogers.
Yeah, this will be Brian.
Yep.
Rogers and the other big red road name, DeJong, was in there as well.
And Max
Yeah, that was a Coanda SimSport team. So, yeah, they only had a three-driver team, but when your three drivers are Josh Rogers, Max Backham, and Mitchell DeJong, you're going to have a good day. And, so they did. They took the top split championship at the Daytona 24. So, that's a mega team right there. And looking through the results of that race, the second place was Williams Esports team, and I think they were on the same lap, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll double check that again, but it was three more really good drivers on their team, and so it was a great finish for those guys. They pretty much came out and did what probably most people would have expected a team like that. And three drivers, so they each got quite a bit of seat time in that race, too.
Well, that was the broadcasted race, too, right?
Yes.
And then we have the guys that run solo. We found Ian Plash and Keenan Kuzin. They both ran their individual races solo the full 24 hours, which will DQ you, but they did it anyway, and raised actually $5,576 for Miracle Network Hospitals, and 850 laps for Ian and 837 laps for Keenan. Well done.
Didn't we have one in ours too, David? Wasn't?
Yeah, was his name actually? It was a 4-letter Asian name. Atomo, maybe.
Yeah, they were.
I can't remember.
They were talking about it most of the race and a lot of the streams that we were watching. That they were running a full 24 hours for charity as well.
Let's talk about the winner of your race, guys.
Well, David, who wants to start, me or you?
Well, you got the name on the script, so go for it.
Well, how do we get Team Nesboys? I guess.
NAS boys, like NASCAR.
Yeah, I know. They took the win. That would be Garrett Smedley, Anthony Alfredo, Lando Castle, Danny Hansen, and James Davidson finished their race.
Who?
All the guys that we raced against, right? So, yeah, that was a good race. The best part of this, I thought, was interacting with them on their streams. Obviously, we were in the car back and forth going around. We finished second to these guys, and getting in and out of the car and being able to interact with them on their streams and stuff all night was probably one of the more entertaining things to do, and it made this 24-hour race like that much better, right?
So it was fascinating to me, Greg, the clips of them studying you and how fast you are through the bus stop. It's like Landon Castle and James Davison. Oh, he goes one car length to the left further than you do, and he's getting a better run. And they're like dissecting your lap, trying to figure out how to beat you.
Yeah, this was kind of, I don't know, this was kind of made my ego a little bit there when I think my first time out on my first run, I went around Anthony Alfredo on the outside of turn 1 and passed him and drove away. And then I passed Landon here on the second run to get us within a lap of them. And yeah, it was quite fun doing all this with these guys. These guys are top-notch racers, and it's kind of just another thing that I've only been in this car for a little bit over, David, you've been in it for a week, and I had probably a couple, 1 or 2 races before that. So I felt pretty proud about it. I don't know what you thought about the car and the race, David.
It was fun and exciting. Now, I started the race and went in really conservative. In fact, we ended up having the most improved positions tied with Alan Pajari's team because both us and him started at 26 and took it all the way up to second. And in those first 2 hours, I drove from 26th to 13th, but I was being super conservative, and in the process, James had already lapped me once in those first 2 hours. But James was dropping, 33s, while the rest of us were turning 34s and 35s.
Yeah.
It was just, James Davison knows the track, and that car is probably doesn't feel that different from an Indy car, and, he's currently an Indy car driver. We had a retired Indy car driver. They had a part-time Indy car driver who was really, actually Richie was close to that speed, but, the rest of us just kind of spotted him too much distance early, trying to be safe. But we finished the race. That was what I said. I just want to stay out of the trouble, and I did.
Well, I asked you guys how could you have won the race, and it was just you lost those laps early. It was really what it came down to.
Well,
the answer was not race James.
Well, yeah. If the worst part is and David, I have to commend David on the first part of that race, because the hardest part of that race is to start it and make sure you get through it and have a car for the next driver to get 2 or 3 hours in and let some of the people weed themselves out of the race and get into a rhythm and just drive. And David did a great job on that first lap and a half, avoiding a bunch of chaos. And I think David ran like a 2-minute lap on the first lap, and when he's running a 1:32, we already lost 30 seconds in the first lap, and it's really hard to get back from that. But if we started up further, who knows? We might have not had a car to even do this racing. So, David took it up to 13th in the first run, and then Tom hopped in the car. I think Tom got it up to 7th, and then I hopped in, and I just was outside. I think I was catching the second place. I was in third, and then Tom brought it into second, and then I think we stayed second for most of the rest of that night, second to third, and then we were, me, David, and Tom took the first half of the race. The first 12 hours we took up, and then the second 12 hours was our other 3 drivers, Richie Hearn, Chris, what's Chris' last name?
Regan, I think.
And I'm losing the
I
other
don't
name.
know. I don't know Michael's last name.
And another Michael. Anyways, sorry about that, Michael. But anyways, they did a great job in the middle of the night and brought it home. You know, we stayed second. We were 3 laps ahead of the third place guy. We were, I brought us within a lap at one point, and then we got 2 laps down after we driver changes and split and just shift change in the middle of the night. But man, it was. It was bad. Like, I was in some of these streams too. Like, I kept telling Landon Castle on the stream, we're coming for you guys and all that stuff. It was quite funny to just, give a shout out to them and just interact with them because they all had their streams up. And, David had his up. I wish I would have had mine going because that's probably the best run I would have done to have. But, I'll take a P2 in a race that it didn't look like we were going to get off in the morning there at all.
Okay, so let's talk about the fun car. I mean, Tony, tell us how that car started off, and we ended up P20 at the end of the day.
Well, about a week before, I was actually going to start off the race, and then I realized, I got to work Saturday, so we unanimously decided to throw in the road ringer David Flowers. Our split, we're lower split, so how'd that go, Brian? I know you were watching.
Yeah, I was watching David and his first stint, and we had a little troubles early. We had quite a few incidents off tracks and stuff like that to kind of set us back a little bit until David got his feet underneath him, basically. So once he got through an hour of his first stint, and he had an emergency that he had to leave after that first hour, which kind of threw his schedule off again because he was supposed to go 2 hours for the first stint. So after his stint, Tony Groves took over him an hour earlier. He was ready to go, thank goodness. So he was ready to take over an hour earlier and did his stint. And he did fairly well too. So we didn't have a terrible start. We didn't fire anything, so we started at the back of the field. We were just being careful at the beginning. So once Tony got in, he ran pretty solid, not too many major issues, and then I think he gave it to you, right, Tony?
I think so, yeah. But I just want to say that all the guys that on the fun team that never raced a 24-hour race before did really, really well. Brian, you did really well. Tony did really well. Chris did really well. He actually did really, really well after my second stint, where after pretty much spending 12 hours in this new seat that I've had, between watching the race and racing and then doing a broadcast and going back to racing, everybody for not being a road racer with the
I didn't wind up getting my first stint until 4 in the morning, so that was like 14 hours into the race before I got behind the wheel. But I probably had watched about 4 hours of everybody else driving leading up to it, though. So by the time I got it, Mike had been in it, and Mike did really well.
No, it had front end damage, and so it was off a second or two off the pace. So,
I mean, yeah, even being second off, we were still doing 45s and 47s and stuff like that. So we were still being a little bit competitive. I know when my first stint, I got it from like 29th down to like 20th. Then we just pretty much just hovered around there for the rest of the race.
Now, Brian, Tony, and Mike. Mike, you've run a 24-hour before, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've done it with you did it in Corvette seat, like the old Daytona cars. Tony, have you run one before?
Yeah, I ran with you guys 2 years ago in Ferrari. Okay.
And Brian, you said, is this your first one?
Yeah, I haven't even owned a GTE or LMP2 car until probably about a month ago, and I really didn't even get into the cockpit and really start practicing till about a week before the race. So my goal was just to learn the track, learn the car, and be as safe as I could possibly be, I guess. And I didn't do too bad, I think, considering.
Now, in your class, did you guys have GT 3s in it as well, or was it GTEs and prototypes?
Nope, it was all 54 GTs.
Okay, it was
We didn't even have GT3s, man.
I know, that's why I was just trying to see if any of that stuff, but no. So how did you guys find it? Obviously, you didn't have to have any slower traffic class wise, but how did you find making your way around drivers that were having problems or things like that in that race?
You just had to watch for it. I mean, like Tony Groves, he had a video I saw where he was going into the bus stop, and the guy was parked like literally sideways across the bus stop, and there was nowhere to go, and he kind of T-boned him.
I'll say my first stint, I had this car that just kept blinking in and out, and he ended up causing pretty much 2 crashes that I ended up getting part of, which didn't damage the car at all. I got lucky, but other than that, faster cars I let by with no issues, and slower cars they let me by, and it wasn't too bad.
I'm glad you guys were able. We didn't get many highlights, but I'm glad you guys, enjoyed your race for Team Fun there, because I know you guys were stoked to try and do it as this race, right? Just to do it for you guys that haven't raced much on the roadside like David and I do.
I definitely had fun, especially with my new 80/20 rig and the way I can actually brake better with it now, and I actually had really fun doing it.
I had a really good 3-hour stint.
I had a blast. I thought it was a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time watching other guys racing and just hanging out with them while they were racing. And it was, for me, it was just a great event, a great team building event and friendship building event even. So it was. I thought it was everything I was hoping it would be, and then more.
Yeah, Brian, you did good for crew chiefing.
And just to recap, it was exciting. And it was exciting and kind of almost, kind of ego boosting to sit there and chase down a bunch of pros, essentially, for our whole race.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, they were like, I was like, when we finished our stints, I think I got out of the car and handed it to you last, right? You were the last of the 4 of our front 3 to go, and that was like, what, midnight?
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, the adrenaline when you're done the race at that time, you got adrenaline, and I was feeling really good. That stint was, I think that last stint that I had was like a pain in the butt. I had a pain in the butt driver who just was, he couldn't. I wanted to let him by, and David was taught. The other thing is David was kind of like in my ear, just be patient with this guy, and I was obviously faster than him, but on the straights, obviously he could catch us with drafting and stuff like that, but he just couldn't get off the corner, so I'd always pass him, and then he'd get me on the second part of the second straight after the bus stop, and it's like, we'll do this for a couple laps, and he was causing problems, and I think that one time he hit us on the banking for no reason, and, we were just trying to survive there, and, but trying to go to bed after you get out of the rig at like 12 o'clock at night with the adrenaline stuff was quite hard, and then when I woke up in the morning, just logging on to our Discord and stuff like that, and see how we're still doing and getting updates and all that stuff. It was, I think that was one of the most enjoyable events that I've been a part of, especially for the 24-hour since I've been on iRacing.
Oh, and running second, that's a great finish.
Yeah, so something that would definitely get the adrenaline going is watching this opening video.
Yeah, that's right. So we were talking earlier that they broadcasted the top split of the 24 hours, and iRacing posted a video with just an introduction to the race. And man, they could really put a video together that gets your adrenaline going, because it's so well done. You see those guys from Coanda starting the race up in front, and it was just another fantastic video iRacing put out that really gives you a feel for the beginning of this race.
Do you think one of the best things that they added to the camera is just a little shake when the cars go by? I think it just adds another element to when they make these videos.
A better video was Nicholas Vroman put up on Twitter how he's going to protest this guy who ran into him. So what happened is they got through the exit of turn 1 there, and they just barely touched. It was just an incident, and it sent the guy on the right through the grass. He ended up on the other side of the track, going backwards on the track around the horseshoe hairpin, and ran into the guy head on. So, like, he went across the grass, he went backwards on the track, found the guy that hit him, and ran right into the front of him. I mean, huge, protest.
Well, the worst part is, and I think we talked about this in the chat, is both incidents on the track were the guy's fault. So the red car in the video we're showing here, he doesn't give the black car on the inside space after he screws up turn 1, gets into him, and then is mad at him, comes across the grass, goes the opposite way, and hits the car. Like, all this, like, it's a long race. Just slow the car down on the grass, get back on the track, and go. There's no need for that.
He'll be parked for that, yeah.
And, we had a similar issue last year where a guy had hunted us after one of our old teammates, Craig, had gotten into a ruffles with him, and then he came and wrecked me on purpose, even though it was Craig that hit him. And this is different. A lot of times you'll put in a protest for an incident in an official race, and you'll get the email saying, yeah, the guy messed up, but it wasn't really on purpose, so, you get multiple drop weeks. We'll watch the driver, blah, blah, blah. There's no multiple drop weeks for the 24. It's a once-a-year event, so there needs to be a stiffer penalty.
Well, if
you're just not wrecking that one guy. You're wrecking his whole team. A whole group of people. So it's really bad.
Well, yeah, and those people, they either take the day off work, or there's a lot of stuff that goes into this 24-hour race to do it, and even if I was that guy's teammate, I would be all out. I'd probably protest him myself. Like, that's just a bonehead move to finish your day off.
He's finishing off both teams, not just one of them, yeah. This other video, Greg, is pretty cool. The 24 hours and 60 seconds.
Yeah, so who's posted this? Just trying to see.
Great Job Collage.
Yeah, great job Collage posted it on his YouTube channel. That's a 24-hour, or a time lapse in 60 seconds of the 24-hour race, and it's a really nice shot here, just showing how the track changes and how everybody going by, and overnight and into the day. The time lapse videos are really a good way to see how a track changes and how the whole outlook of the race changes. Like when the sky is going across, and going from day to night was such a game changer in iRacing, and
I remember talking to Dave Flowers, who was on our team, and I've been around iRacing for a while, but I'd never done any of these endurance events. And he was telling me how, back in the day before the day-night transitions, it used to be like night the whole time you raced, and it wouldn't be nearly as cool when the sun starts coming up or going down, depending on what session you're in, to see that transition. The track's going to change and everything else, and it's just amazing how realistic they've gotten this event down.
Who on the team got dusk and who got dawn for your stints, and were they in VR? Because VR looks the best when the sun comes up and goes down. It always looks the best in VR.
Say it wasn't me. I was all night.
I was all night. I don't know.
I got the morning. I did get the morning. I got the sunrise. So that was pretty cool.
The best view anywhere in the sim, I think, with VR is a cloudy or overcast day at Sebring at sunset. The turn's called sunset. You're coming down the home stretch, and the clouds are just orange coming at you, and then fading into gray, and that's the best scenery in the entire service.
So how about the closest finish in the race, Brian?
Yeah, so imagine racing 24 hours and it coming down to a last the last lap pass, two cars side by side. iRacing posted this video of what had to be the closest finish of the entire event, where Tim Greven chased down the leader and they just finished side by side in the BMW. And wow, it's hard to imagine after that long of a time that two cars can be that close. I mean, I know our race, the winner won by like 10 laps, so this is quite a close finish compared to probably a lot of the splits that were out there.
Now, Brian, also take into effect there is, they have a minimum of 2 drivers to 6, up to 4 to 6 drivers. To have everything equal out after 24 hours when you go between, you could have up to 12 different drivers in those 2 cars, and to have it equal out after 24 hours is amazing.
Now, the winner was in second going into the bus stop. And I asked the team, is that the place to be? And it looks like it, because that guy who was leading going into the bus stop, there was nothing he could have done. I mean, the guy had a draft, and he just used it.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, remember, I took the win at Daytona in the Yakura race, and I stayed behind the guy for 3 laps, even though he made several mistakes in front of me for the same reason, because there's no way to hold off the car coming out of the bus stop. It's just almost always too big of a run.
Now, watching that also, that prototype or the LMP2 that came by on the outside was not needed. He didn't need to pass those 2 going side by side at the end of the race there. But the only way you can probably, if you're the lead car coming out of that bus stop, the only way you could possibly get a better, a better shot at trying to get down that straightaway without getting drafted is, you got to slow them up before you get to the bus stop. You got to change the way the person gets into that bus stop so you can get out of there and get further gone before the draft starts kicking in.
Okay, so let's break into what iRacing has posted about what happened, what went wrong with the delay of the event. There's a lot of good information here, and David and I are just going to take turns reading it here. So I'll start off. This past weekend saw the largest single event in terms of participation in iRacing's history. Across both time slots, we saw a total of 11,708 participants, including 9,981 in the broadcast time slot. Once the second time slot eventually launched, we saw one of the greatest events in iRacing history as well. Feedback from the community regarding the impact that declaring drivers had on the quality of racing in each split has been overwhelmingly positive. With only limited exceptions, the splitting system led to competitive races from top to bottom. There were, of course, a few turn 1 dramas and questionable overtakes, but on the whole, we saw amazing in-class racing in a diverse spread of vehicle manufacturers across all splits. Go ahead, David.
Well, and he said if this was the story, they would have been able to celebrate the event. However, it wasn't the full story. The event also featured a start delay due to unforeseen and unique technical issues with the race scheduling, and he wanted to clarify some misconceptions. The set of circumstances wasn't due to the lack of equipment, hardware, or capacity, and it also was not specific to the UI, but instead exposed a flaw in the race scheduling implementation. The race scheduling encountered a deadlock and terminated the scheduling activity, and it did not attempt it until the 1300 GMT event again.
Okay. And then once it was determined that the race server launch had failed, our staff began working to identify the problem and made a number of call changes over the next 90 minutes in order for us to give us, the membership, the opportunity to start the event. Once the changes were in place and the minimum testing was complete, the updated server start time was announced. Practice sessions were launched 10 minutes later. We did note that because sorry, I lost my place there. These issues related to contention for shared resources and specifically for specific rows in the database related to scheduling the session. And so he goes on to explain what happened, but it has to do with the new system they implemented where you pick the drivers ahead of time.
Yeah, which resulted in people going ahead and registering that normally would wait until the race was already rolling so that they could successfully sandbag their iRating, right?
And so where do we go from here? Moving forward, they're going to make some changes. So they did meet Monday to debrief. They're going to have an updated communication plan that will feature an increase in the frequency of updates, even when minimal information is available. They're going to update the timing of special events to minimize the impact of one event ending while another is launching. So that means different start times. We will keep the standard broadcast split at the same time, but you will see some adjustments and additions to other time slots to help disperse the participation.
Friday night one then, because the Saturday one is the one that they broadcasted, wasn't it?
They're going to add additional slots. So the 12 hours of Bathurst they announced there's going to be 4 slots to run.
Well, you may not have noticed, but when the 24-hour ended, our 24-hour, iRacing's website went down probably for about 30 minutes, right, for maintenance, just from the servers all shutting down. So they're going to try to avoid that. It didn't become a problem this time because the races were staggered by 12 hours, but were 24 hours long. However, Sebring 12 hours want to be ending when the other one's starting. They also have some intent to, I think you might have already hit this, but they're going to try to be a little bit more communicative than they already were. And I felt like they weren't completely uncommunicative. Greg was posting several times, and they put messages out on Twitter, and we actually had a little bit of an inside picture over on the major server. Christian was talking to us a couple times. And then, but you know what happens when something like this is going on? We talked about it just a little bit earlier. There's a anxiety that just builds, and if you sit there for even 10 minutes in this social media world, we're thinking, what's going on? So I almost think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have literally a live stream from iRacing HQ of the launch, and so they're just sitting here keeping us up to date on what's going on.
That's not a...
Didn't the forums even shut down for a while in that period?
Yeah, they did, and so I think that would be a good idea. And they're talking the $5 is a good idea. I think overall, they sort of learned their lesson for the most part. The $5 credit immediately was a good part of goodwill, and Greg West was putting out a lot of good information. But it would be nice to just have one guy there, almost like you have somebody watching Mission Control in a shuttle launch kind of thing or something. So it was pretty neat. Sorry, I lost my place as well. So at first I was pretty upset with the situation. I was like, here we go again. But we saw the roster, the information, and it was pretty mind-boggling how much more of an increase in people there was, right? So it went from, on that split, being 6,000 people 2,000 people to 6,000 people. And that was pretty mind-blowing. And even though it wasn't a infrastructure issue, when you get that kind of numbers, it's going to find a bug that might be hidden beforehand. The only concern I had, even after I saw that number, I was like, okay, I'll cut them a little bit of a break. But there were 2 lessons that they forgot from last year. One, we ran multiple splits at Spa because of the problem with Le Mans. 2, why go back to 30-minute warm-up when they learned they need to go to a 1-hour warm-up?
How do you? There's really. Is there a way for iRacing to test this out with that many people? How do you test for that beforehand to see what bugs can pop up? They said that there was an unforeseen bug once it was working with all these different this amount of people signing up where there was a conflict and it basically crashed itself. How do you do that? How do you try to test for that?
Well, the answer is, Brian, you really can't. Like, this was probably set up to be, iRacing knows how many members they have and what they're basically got stuff built for what they know, probably from last year's events and probably 24 Hours of Le Mans and any of the other big special events last year as it grew through the season. But the amount of people, iRacing's doubled in size membership-wise, so, there's no way of testing this until it happens. And then, so this year, this is happening. I don't foresee iRacing doubling in size again for next year's event. I mean, something could happen and it does that, but, I'm thinking maybe this is the bug that they needed to figure out what the next one is. But they always grow each year, so it's not like they're staying static with all these problems. A new one's going to arise because we go from 2,000, what did David say, 2,000 to 6,000. That's a big growth. And
that's not double. That's really tripled to 4 times, because I think it was just a humongous jump. I mean, 11,000 actual drivers between those splits. But how many times do you see any kind of software get released that's been through beta testing, and then something doesn't show up until you throw it out on the big system, right? There's just some things that are not going to show until the system is really tested.
Well, like you're saying, David, anything that's got a big infrastructure that's relying on everybody flocking to it at a big moment. It's one thing when we register for our races, our NIS races or whatever during the week, and the start of the season you get all big numbers, but between someone registers at this time compared to someone registering 2 minutes before the race and things like that happen, whereas everybody anticipates that thing to go green for the practice session to open up, and everybody clicks at the same time, and then all the servers have to be created, and that's what they were finding as a problem, is it just wasn't getting them filled. They weren't filling fast enough, building the infrastructure around it to host all these people that flock at the exact same time. Like it's like when people buy graphics cards or new software or something online, when you go to Walmart and you click the buy button, if everybody clicked it at the same time, that's why it crashes, right?
Yeah, so they stayed on top of it, and I mean, we did at least get to run it, even though it was 4 hours later. They busted their butt on fixing it. So upset at the time, but happy in the end product, I guess, would be the best way I felt going through it.
Oh.
And to be fair, once it got up and running, there was no issues in game during that entire 24-hour period that I saw. And so I don't think. I think overall, despite that hiccup at the beginning where they had those issues, I think other than that, it ran really well, handling all those different cars and all those different splits at the same time.
Are we done with the 24-hour talk? Can we move on?
Done. Let's keep going.
I'll say, but you guys forgot the one thing. You get the $5 credit.
Oh, yeah, they're giving a $5 credit to everyone involved.
Have they said when they're doing it yet? Has it come through yet?
It should already be through, yeah.
It's there.
I haven't checked, okay.
Do Mike
So let's
use it to do the Wild Horse Pass?
Yeah, that's a. You might want to get in that while it gets good, because apparently the iRacing curse has struck again. This time in Mike's backyard down there in Arizona, Phoenix area, because there's a map of a new development where the motorsports park area is, which includes the Wild Horse Pass, which is featured in iRacing on the Pro Truck Series. So that whole track complex might be disappearing in the not too distant future. So it looks like some developers have gotten a hold of that land, and they don't want to keep it as race stuff.
And there's more than just pro trucks there. We got NHRA, drag racing. That's right in the middle of that. You got boat racing, and I've been out there for the boat races. There's a small little lake where they do boat racing, and it's really going to hurt motorsports in this area if this indeed is true.
Do we have a problem brewing on our hands here where we got all these tracks in the, around, the United States and around the world, and if they're not being used to the fullest, do we have a problem where these development places are going to start coming in and, we're going to see some of these tracks just go away? It's not going to sit like a North Wilkesboro and just deteriorate forever. Like, they're just going to be gone and built over.
This is prime real estate in the Phoenix area, and that's really why. It's probably they can get more money, with it being something else, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't have a great attendance year in the past season either with all that's been going on. That's probably hurt them quite a bit as well.
All right, so next topic here, we got NASCAR driver Chase Briscoe has been spotted practicing for the Daytona 500. So if you want to, he's going to put up a bunch of hosted servers to practice for the 500, so you can go race with them. They're going to be password protected, so the password is SHR. But he's inviting everybody to come and join practice with him.
I think that's pretty cool that you can hop in with a cup driver and mix it up. But yeah, he was posting that a few nights ago, looking for people to run with him.
Well, and if I don't, I really like Chase Briscoe here is up and coming driver. Doing this kind of stuff too is only going to endear himself to the rest of the people and on the service and stuff like that as well. Because he's also participated in a lot of their, when they were doing the Daytona stuff, he helped out with that, with the road course, and he seems to be pretty helpful when it comes to, doing things on iRacing, and now he's just doing his own thing off the side here, and it's just goodwill to, it's a person to cheer for. He's a good driver, and, it endears you to your fans, right?
And next up, we have drivers Landon Castle and Parker Kligerman throwing together another event. We haven't had Parker on, but we've had Landon on, and we had to chase him down this weekend. But this next event is going to be their next special event. It's a $25 entry fee, and they're expecting about a $15,000 purse, and it's going to be a 3-week event. And it's going to be the COT car at Daytona, and I've run this combo before, and it's a pretty white-knuckled situation. It's pretty fun. So they'll be holding it over three weeks, and there's details on this tweet on the website if you go to iRacersLounge.com.
Looks like a fun race. They have a lot of heavy hitters in there. I know Elliott Sadler said he signed up. Talk about heavy hitters. Monday night, I watched the Podium Esports broadcast of Monday Night Racing League, and they brought on Adam Alexander, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip to call the event. And boy, I was grinning from ear to ear listening to these guys. Just on my phone, I wasn't really paying attention to the race, but just to hear the banter back and forth, to hear them talk about tire fall off and, these boys are setting up for this and pull those belts tight, and boy, it was fun.
It was entertaining, but at the same time, you could tell that they didn't know some of the intricacies of the current car and service. Because there was a couple times I heard Larry make strategic predictions that were actually a little off.
Right, I think there was one thing he was talking about being penalized for speeding on pit road. And he misspoke a little bit from the way that iRacing does it. Because if you speed before your stop, it'll hold you. But if you speed after your stop, then you have to, do a penalty. So.
Yeah, and on the final run, right, most of them, especially, there's tire fall off at Miami. It's not Darlington, but it's definitely not, Charlotte, where the tires don't fade. There's tire fall off, and he he thought everybody would run their fuel tanks out instead of splitting the stint in half. And I called him out on that while I was running a race. That no, that's not right. Most of them will short pit, and they did.
Yeah, so after 3 attempts at the finish, the winner winds up being Fast Pasta, Anthony Alfredo. He took the checker flag in that race. It's kind of a historic race if you think about the announcing crew on that channel with Daryl and Larry Mack. So congratulations to Anthony Alfredo for taking the win on that race. And that was the finale of that series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They start the playoffs at the next race.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, he beat Raja Karuth. Raja looked like he was the car to beat, but Anthony got it done on that last restart.
I think Anthony was already pointed in. I can't remember the details of who was pointed in and who wasn't. But yeah, that was the regular season finale, and they still had the playoffs coming up. And a couple of weeks ago, Denny Hamlin dropped a hint that Bubba Wallace better be ready to get back on iRacing and run the Pro Invitational. And it's now official. iRacing has announced the return of the Pro Invitational Series for 2021.
Yeah, it's going to be 10 races, 5 on Fox, 5 on NBC.
They're doing it in the middle of the season, right?
Yeah, middle of the season and midweek, I understand, like on a Wednesday night.
So there's not a whole lot of new content coming out on network television anyway. As far as your entertainment television shows, they're all on reruns.
Well, they got to get through this pandemic before they make any of these new TV shows and things like that too, right?
Some places haven't been able to make it, but there's been a lot of places there where they have been getting filming done by doing some real strict protocols. All the actors have to go into quarantine for 2 straight weeks before they even start filming. So there's some places that have got some work done.
First event is March 24th, Bristol Dirt.
So is this what they were broadcasting or announcing that was going to be on Friday nights?
Right. But it's Wednesdays.
So they're making the first track Bristol Dirt, and they couldn't drive it when they was asphalt the last time they were there.
Yeah, that's going to be a cluster, isn't it?
I hope they practice, but you know what? That just shows you they're trying to also pump up iRacing too there and show it off, right? They're trying to just use whatever they got. Obviously, iRacing now has a strict timeline to get that thing ready, and well, the actual Bristol race, is it before that date? Like, when is the Bristol Dirt?
That's usually an early spring race, right? Within the first 10 weeks.
I think it's
late March, early April.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So this will be way before that anyway. So iRacing will obviously have it out by then.
Now, last time there was a lot of guys that were new to the service, and they quite hadn't switched to the mentality of even though you can wreck your car, you probably don't want to because they're not experiencing the same fear of if you actually hit a real wall. They really just need to get that fast repair out of there, especially 2.
Well, and they all learn. Obviously, this off season they've learned a lot of valuable lessons through the iRacing service with talking and driving wise. So let's just hope that obviously all these guys are going to be, have the service now too. So, they might be testing more. They might be on here more, things like that since then, because a lot of those guys jumped in early too, right? Like right when, they had to jump in and race the week that they started racing on iRacing, like Jimmy Johnson did and stuff like that.
I'll say for the Bristol Dirt, watch out for the King of Bristol, Rowdy, to win.
Yeah, well, you got to go through probably Kyle Larson first.
So June 2nd, it says track to be determined. I think Tom Dreiling was speculating he thinks it'll be Nashville.
Yeah, they're probably got that bookmark like that because they're probably got to try and get out and get scanned, right? I don't know if they probably don't have it scanned yet and to get there and get it done. Probably once it warms up, I don't, it's probably warmer there. It doesn't snow there, does it? No.
Usually once or twice a year, maybe 3 times.
So maybe they just wait till it warms up in the spring and they do it quickly. Anyways, let's click on here to the 12 Hours of Bathurst. Greg West announced that's the next event here it's in February from the 26th to the 28th.
And then went to 4 slots instead of 2.
Yeah, so these are all going to be in GMT time. So Friday night at 10 o'clock, Saturday at 7 o'clock, Saturday at noon, and Saturday at 4 o'clock time, Greenwich Mean Time. So it's at Mount Panorama, so David's favorite track. You only need a licensed D 4.0 road for it. Obviously, it's a 12-hour race. Looks like a stop-and-go penalty is limited to 50 incidents, and every 20 thereafter is a pass-through. It's all GTE or GT3 cars, so the Audi R8, BMW M4, Ferrari 488, Ford GT, the new Lambo, the McLaren, and the Mercedes. The balance of power, they're saying here, will be evaluated and announced prior to the week of the event. So look forward to that update the week before that.
All right, next we have a video about the Ferrari GT Challenge, one of my favorite series. None other than Fernando Alonso chasing down Tony Kanaan on the final lap to win the race at the Daytona Road Course. It was just like the other video we were talking about where he was second going through the bus stop. He got the draft off Tony Kanaan, and Alonso edged him out at the line. So pretty cool to see some open-wheel stars duking it out in my favorite series as far as road goes, Ferrari GT Challenge.
But like you were saying, it proves that you want to be that second car coming out of the bus stop and make sure you're close, and then you can definitely just use the draft to go on by.
And unlike plate racing, you can't throw a block there. In road racing, it's against the culture. If you make a move after the other person's already moved, it's a violation of the sporting code. Yeah, it's bad form. And if I was there, I would either make another move or just go ahead and turn you.
Honesty.
So here's some interesting reporting from NASCAR insider Bob Hocker has posted that NASCAR is going to use the low downforce high horsepower package for the Busch Class and the Daytona Road Course this season. So last year, if you guys remember, they actually used the high downforce package for the Daytona Road Race when they wedged that into the schedule after all the changes that were going on. But this year they're going back to the low downforce with the extra horsepower. So it's going to change up the way that track runs, and I'm assuming they'll do the same thing in iRacing. Now, I remember when NIS was at the Daytona Road Course, I had a little difficulty keeping that thing underneath me because all the, just because the NASCAR, the stock car in general, has such a lot of torque at that low end, when you're first gear coming out of some of these tight turns. I had a little trouble keeping it underneath me, so it's not going to make it any easier with the extra horsepower and less downforce. So I'll need to practice that quite a bit before that comes up on the NIS schedule.
All I can say is, I'm salivating at this. I can't. Low downforce is going to be even better for me for this race.
Well, they gave it to us 6 days after Bob announced it. We get it in the patch that was today.
Yeah, there was a patch that was released. Was this the one that was released this morning?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And here's the notes for it. They made some changes to the 3D model viewer, some fixes to the replay situation changing. You can read the details on that if you'd like. Several changes to the cars. They apparently accidentally took the power steering assist steering ratio stuff out of the Lara, and they put that back in out of the 217. They've added setups for the IR18. They put a balance of power adjustment into the Ferrari, increasing its downforce. That's interesting because one of my guys that I run some of the LMP1 stuffs was talking about how the 488 seems to be the best car at the Norderskleif track. What do we got here? Some changes on the Cup cars.
Yeah, that's the low downforce for Daytona.
And then it looks like they added some strength. Or sorry, they reduced the strength of the draft for the Truck Series at Daytona too.
Yeah, there was a lot of people saying it was nerfed, and they obviously made an adjustment there.
And they're talking, I don't know if this note is directly related to that package or it's just the overall car, but the downforce has been reduced and the engine cooling has been increased.
The other thing I'm looking at here, David, do you think this balance of power adjustments is going to affect us this week at the M-Tech with the 488 GTE?
Well, more downforce at Road Atlanta will be nice, but we'll probably have to adjust the set.
Okay.
I once accidentally ran the Daytona, when the IMSA was at Daytona, I once accidentally loaded my Road Atlanta set that I still had in there because I knew we had that race coming up. You talk about being a parachute with a difference in the wing setting. That pretty well covers the patch 4 notes.
So who likes free setups? I think we do. We've used a lot of those over the time, or kind of a paid setup. Some of them we get, but Freddie Allwood has thrown up some free setups on the forums, linking to his Discord, so you can get them off of there. Obviously, this is in the new buy and sell area for under title free setups. So go there and click to his Discord and get setups for some of the cars he's offering.
Yeah, road cars only is what I saw, and there wasn't a lot because he just started it. And but he looks like there's more than one person putting up sets. So yeah, check it out.
All right, so we have Chad Irvin. He linked to a YouTube video at a race at Sonoma where the dirt jump is not working. You basically, he goes around the corner and he sees the dirt mound in front of him to jump, and he kind of just lags directly through it. So that's the Sonoma Rally Course track, and apparently there's some issues. Now, for some reason, the guy in the video was racing it in a Skip Barber, which is not exactly the car you want to do jumps in, I don't think. So I don't know if there was a conflict with that combination. Maybe it would be all right with your normal rally cars or the pro trucks. But there was an issue with he was racing it with his Skip Barber, trying to knock out that jump at Sonoma.
See,
like an invisible jump, yeah.
See, this is what iRacing doesn't test for. This is the things that people do when they're bored, in their spare time, when they see something. This is how these extra patches and things are found, because people do this stuff. And, it's good on this person for finding out this thing. I don't know if it's broken. Like, we don't know if it's broken in all cars. Maybe it's broken in that car. But in general, we want to make sure that every car can go over that jump, I guess, in iRacing. So at least he's tested it.
Who wants to spend time at Sonoma?
Good point. But
you leave it alone, Tony. You leave Sonoma alone.
We saw that really crazy issue with the pro trucks when it was racing at the Coke Speedway. Now, who in their right mind would race the Coke, or not the Coke Speedway, the iRacing Super Speedway in a pro truck? But so I guess they might not take in consideration all the combinations that there are. So kind of weird, but I'm gonna try the wing sprint car at this and see if I can get it to jump next.
So over the year, or two, iRacing has been dropping in AI races or AI racers in tracks and cars as we go. So when you might ask, well, what tracks are available now? And they've posted a list. So I don't know if this is a forum post or just on a website somewhere. But
iRacing support. It's on the
iRacing
support.
support. There you go. So if you want to know what's on there, I'm not going to read the list to you, but you can go straight to support, or you can get it through our website.
They have it on the support page, so you can print it off, it looks like, too, right? So that's why they got it there.
Yeah, support.iracing.com, and you can search for it.
They have, just to finish that thought, they have added a lot of stuff for the AI in a year, to try and get it all to work.
Got a long ways to go, though, but they have done a lot.
And it's fun.
All right, podcast housekeeping notes. Don't forget about the aftermath. Chris and the two Tonys, what do you guys got coming up?
We're going to talk about our 24-hour experiences, some OBRL playoffs that Chris and I are going to be in, and just more shenanigans.
All right, looking forward to that. And don't forget our new website. Make sure to leave comments. It's iRacersLounge.com, where you can actually see our podcast notes that we're looking at as we go through this. Don't forget, we're also live on video stream. Greg has got us up on camera there where you can see us at YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, that kind of thing. And don't forget, we're on the Performance Motorsports Network as well. Hardware, software.
All right, guys, we're going to start off with Rock Rigs RSR21 build and review. So if you remember, the Rock Solid Rig RS21 is something we talked about last week, which is like almost like an 80-20 system made out of wood, where the whole rig is wood. It's very adjustable, has mounts for triple monitors and everything. And so they were claiming in their advertisement, the company was, that it's as strong and solid as any 80-20 rig. Well, our friend of the show, Dave Cam, actually reviewed this and tried it out, and he posted a video about it, and the general consensus is that he loves it and thinks it's just as solid as 80-20. He's very happy with how strong and sturdy it was, and of course it's just a beautiful piece of art to look at, in my opinion. So so apparently it's as good as they advertise.
When watching him put this together on the video, it's like putting like scaffolding, and he looks like a skyscraper that he's building up as it goes up.
Kind of bulky, compared to 80-20, especially the monitor stuff, but rock solid.
I wonder how much it weighs, like as freight.
It reminds me of those 3D models they used to put together, like buildings and stuff like that. That looks fun as hell to put together.
And looking at him drive it, it doesn't move at all. And he's got a real, strong base on there, obviously, but it does, there's no jitter or nothing. It looks solid.
I couldn't remember, did this rig come with a seat, or was it optional that you could have it with a seat or not?
I think it was separate. You had to get those seats separate.
Most rigs, other than like your like those play seats that are kind of all put together, most of the other rigs you just throw in a real racing seat.
You mean the one I'm sitting in right now? You're talking about the play seat?
Yeah. So you're saying I should actually look at the Discord, right? The next thing we have on here, though, I don't think any of us have. It's a GSI wheel. We've got Gomez Sim Industry Formula Rim, and it's they're boasting that it's used by several real-world drivers. Now, I don't know if that means that they're using it in the sim, or if this is another wheel that's compatible with real cars as well. It's got a load of buttons. It's a standard Formula wheel. A lot of rotary options in the middle. It's got a multi-switch in the center, and it's got a display as well as the as well as the RPM LED lights. Not great if you're a VR driver, but those of you who run triples might enjoy having that display on there.
That thing is gorgeous. Like it looks really nice. Like for anybody that, like David said, it's not VR and needs a visual. Like it's basically like having with that display in the center of everything. It's like you have everything right there at your fingertips.
The only thing that seems to be missing is it's only got the 2 pedals, so you don't really have an option to run hand clutch.
Saying it's missing a price.
I found it. It's GomezSimIndustries.com, and it's $1,250 with the display, $875 without the display.
Nope.
I agree. I do the same thing with my Formula Rim and have a better pedal situation.
It is a high-end wheel for sure at that price.
Speaking of high-end, looks like a popular reviewer here, Linus Tech Tips, showed on the YouTube channel the 24 gigabyte VRAM GeForce 390 on triples, but in 4K. He tested it out to try and run 4K on all 3 at the same time. Like, this card is, I'm not really a huge guy on tech about the cards and knowing all of what's needed about it, but if you can get 4K for some of the stuff that he's, trying to run with on it, that's impressive with that card.
Yeah, 3090 is the best card you can get, and he tried several games in 4K triples, and it worked pretty good. iRacing wasn't one of them, but based on what I see, it looks like it's certainly possible.
Well, he is playing, it looks like he was playing Forza or Dirt or something on there at the end there. I can't see what it is, but that would be just as intensive as iRacing would be on it.
Pretty freaking cool. I can't wait for somebody to try that in iRacing. Next up, we have some new pedals, at least new to us. It's called SimTrex, SIMTRECS.com, and they have some nice-looking pedals here. They call them professional grade. Price €1,175 in the European Union. Outside the European Union, €925. That's without the base plate. The base plate's another $175. But these do look high end. They don't look to be hydraulic though. But what do you guys think?
Watching the one video here, it looks there's a lot of customability into the brake, and it obviously all comes as a kit, it looks like, too, right? Like, you get everything, different, the little pucks that go inside to create more pressure on the brake pedal and stuff. You get all that stuff included with the package, it looks like.
Ultra adjustable as far as angle, depth, everything is adjustable. And there's a lot of holes in everything where, and they show a lot of different detail of how you can move these things about.
It has some really heavy-duty software where you can adjust how the pedals behave as well.
So it does say on the brake unit, hydraulic damping to simulate the real car's hydraulic brake system. We use dampers. The resistance are stepless adjustable to help find the perfect pedal feeling.
You could spend, looking at this video, you could spend probably a good week of time trying to figure out the right feel that you're going to want to get out of all the stuff that's included in this kit.
And then how do you know what you're missing, or how do you know if you've made it worse just because you're not used to it? That's what I always get nervous about playing with any kind of software adjustments on the pedals.
So the forum post that came with this, some people are saying they're kind of expensive for what you're getting, but I mean, these look like a good Heisken-build kind of replacement.
Seems like we're just talking about pasta a lot this week. It's making me hungry.
Yeah, get ready for a little more pasta, because Anthony Alfredo this time, he showed off his full motion haptic racing simulator, the D-Box Gen 3 4250i. So shows a video he's posted a video of him in the rig, racing around, and actually he has a full video of him assembling from scratch, basically. So it's a full motion haptic system. D-Box, we all know, is like one of the leaders in those type of actuator type motion systems. So I'm sure it's very good. And D-Box it's not one of the lesser expensive options. You know, they do make great product.
Yeah, pretty cool to see him. So he's won 2 big races since he got this motion rig. You think the motion rig has something to do with that?
I didn't notice him in the motion rig on his stream. I wasn't paying attention to it, but I don't remember seeing him move around very much.
No, he was not moving at Daytona.
Okay.
Maybe
nice looking rig, man.
Maybe he had motion off.
Yeah, he's got a SimSeats cockpit, and then he got like the bolt-on D-Box thing sent to him, and he has a nice video here of him putting it together. It looks pretty solid.
Yeah, so the D-Box, the Gen 3 4250s are priced out at $9,600 in euros. 9,600 euros. Again, that's just the motion system. That's not anything to do with the rig at all.
Nope. Well, with his Cup contract, he's good and building.
Yeah, that's probably true.
So, Vasa is a company that innovated a triple monitor mount for the 8020 rigs here. Now, is this to combat?
Well, that's just the name of it. Actually, it's by SimLabs.
Oh, it's a SimLabs thing. Okay, I didn't know that was. Sorry, now it brings it up. It says SimLabs. So it's SimLabs created, but the name of it is Vera Vasa. Now, this is the problem that we were having. People were having mounting. That it's a solution to how to mount these triple monitors with some of these 8020 setups, isn't it? Because sometimes you need a spacer or something for some monitors.
It's just a really cool looking system. It looks like it provides ways to pivot the monitors easily back and forth and that kind of thing.
Yeah, because in this image here that I have shown up from their Instagram, it basically they're using a curved monitor to show this, but it looks like there's a lot of adjustability built into the back of it here to move it along a rail, but also to move it each monitor differently to get the right angle for it.
Yeah, David, you're a drummer, correct? Right?
Yes.
Isn't it nice to have really good hardware where it's really easy to set up your toms right where you want them and things like that? And it kind of reminds me of that, where it just makes it so much simpler to set up and get everything lined up right where you want it.
Yeah, actually, we have a set of electric drums in the band room, and every once in a while, one of the kids will decide to adjust the positioning of the tom, and I'll usually sneak in there and jam out to a couple of songs during my conference hour or something. And if it's out of place, it just feels wrong. It's kind of like your ignition in a car suddenly being in the wrong place. It just messes with muscle memory, and being able to position everything in the right place. It's pretty important.
Yeah, I hate my triple monitor mounts from Albedo because you just touch the monitor and it moves, and it doesn't hold place well. This is a neat-looking design, you can tell from one picture, so I'm just interested to see this, like a video of this product, and to see how it actually holds, because it looks like it moves, but it also locks into place.
So what you're saying, Mike, if you had a motion rig on yours, your monitors would be all over the place?
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't work at all. I would have to definitely get new monitor mounts.
Well, if you don't like your mount, how about you just pick up this next rig, Mike? This looks up your alley.
Yeah, this will be our last hardware story. It's a listener submission from Ryan Giles. Told us about a video from Aston Martin about the AMR C01 curve racing simulator. Now, we've talked about this before when it was initially released. Now they have a video of it. And, boy, it's a pretty cool-looking video by Aston Martin. Kind of shows their race car on the track, and then it flashes over to the cockpit and kind of shows the resemblance of the paint job and the stylings and curves and stuff.
See, the thing reminds me of a Jamaican bobsled.
Well, and this thing isn't this thing like $70,000 or something like that? Wasn't this like that ridiculous?
It was crazy. It was crazy.
It's a lot of money for brand name.
And the video alone looks expensive, other than the rig. So.
And it shows the guy into the Aston Martin, offices, and they have it set up in there, and they're walking around it and looking at it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, next up, results. Let's go into official racing first. David, Nürburgring.
Yep, Nürburgring GP, not the big track, but the little track, which I actually enjoy running at. I hopped on there just on Sunday, didn't run any there all week because we were focused on 24 hours, and ran 2 races and won the second one.
Nice win. I ran today the Ferrari GT Challenge at Oran Park. Man, this little track at Oran Park has really gotten my attention. So actually, it wasn't the Ferrari GT Challenge. It was the MX-5 Cup I ran at Oran Park. And I actually started P7 out of 18, finished P6. I actually got involved in the big one at lap 1, turn 1, but actually came out ahead of most and was able to keep the car pointed the right direction, and basically only lost 1 spot after that. So it was a good race. I kind of wish the Ferrari would go back there. I was really enjoying that. Next up, hosted in leagues. I ran a recruiting race for Jeff Marble's Fast Track Sim Racing League that he's going to be running Monday nights that follows the NASCAR schedule. Michigan, P5. I was very excited about that. I think it's a great group, and they kind of match my competency, so I'm actually able to run pretty good with these guys in there. So I ran the next night. He's having recruitment nights each night, and it was Vegas, and I got a P3. I actually slipped and fell back to 22nd at one point and made my way clear back up to 3rd, and was having to save fuel to make it without stopping, and ran out at the line. There was only a few people that made it on fuel, and that's how I was able to steal a P3 there.
Then we took it to the Winter Series. It was Dega plate racing. Kind of tends to be our forte.
I jumped, though. It was the first green flag stop. I was right behind you, David, and I came in and actually overshot my pit. Or actually, I undershot my pit, and I had to pull forward. And that was all it took for me to lose like 10 to 15 seconds when we got back on track.
Yeah, but you did finally get that late caution that got you back with the main pack. I didn't want to see that late caution because I was running way in the front. There was a pack of just like 6 or 7 of us at the front.
Yeah,
but then
late
you got
caution was a savior for sure.
And then we started having quite a few late cautions, and you got caught up in one of them.
Yeah, my race was over, but you had a good chance for a good finish.
If the last caution had not come out, there had just been a wreck. I think it was actually Elliott and somebody got into each other, and I squeezed right between them and even got tapped just a little. And there were 4 cars just in front of me, but I was sucking up to them, and the yellow came out after we had already taken the white. And I think I would have been set up to have a huge run and blast by them, but what wasn't meant to be, but still kept it alive and took home my first P5 in this crazy tough league. And I'm actually I'm P4 without drop weeks and P5 now in the overall standings, just behind AJ Stravato and Christian Chandler.
And boy, what a great group of guys. We were able to run 3 wide a lot without wrecking for the longest time. It was great.
And didn't I tell you that it would run 3 wide for a good chunk, and it would be hard to even get towards the front?
Yeah, with Tyler Hudson in there and Christian Schauner, those guys, they were definitely going to the outside with their buddies and making it work.
So Brian, looks like you got to run at Charlotte in one of the ARCA series.
Yeah, that was a Monday Night ARCA at OBRL. It was at Charlotte, and about lap 9 it was. Some cars got together coming out of turn 2. They crashed right in front of me. I went head first into one and just totally destroyed my car. I had like about 9 minutes of required repairs, which I did, and then I went back out on the track, and I wasn't very competitive, so I kind of called it a night at that point. I really wasn't going to advance my position at that point because I was just too many laps down to really do anything. So I just kind of called it a night at that point. I think that was the last. That should have been the last race before the playoff start for that series. So that's not going to really hurt my playoff chances. So I will make the playoffs for that series, and I'm looking forward to next Monday. Hopefully, we can do a lot better than that.
Now, Brian,
we got a result in here for skills. Is that from the same night? It's in a weird place on the script.
No, that was probably Sunday. He races Sunday mornings.
All right, I was in the right place.
I was gonna say, Brian, you said you went head first. Now, being in a rig that moves, did you actually go head first? The way it moves?
It wasn't too bad in the rig. It didn't really throw me around too much, but so it wasn't too bad. Although I did. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I did have an issue with some hardware. I'll talk about in the final thoughts.
I'll say, does the rig motion rig simulate the flapping hood?
No, it doesn't flap. The hood doesn't flap too much.
All right, let's talk OBRL Cup Series. Atlanta, Tony Rochette, P13.
Well, we'll back up just a day or a couple of days. We'll go to the Xfinity there for Friday night.
Oh, Xfinity. Okay.
P13, I had some issues saving tires at Atlanta. But I am screwing myself. I can't remember. I was talking to somebody on TeamSpeak and green flag stop, and I stalled my car twice because I wasn't too sure where the hell my clutch was. Racing, that was the first race of racing in the new rig year, but somehow I made it into the top 8 for the next week, which is tomorrow night at North Wilkesboro, so that ought to be fun. And Cup Series, Chris and I ran. I finished 13th, he finished 14th. I had a speeding penalty early. I didn't recalibrate my brakes after the 24. I got it to where I can press it down harder now, so I ended up speeding in the pit, but I kind of recovered just a little bit. Scales, he kind of had an issue on pit road late in the race, and he ended up going 2 laps down, but enough guys that were racing in that race had issues that were in the top 12, got me and Scales into the top 8 for Indy Sunday. So Chris is good at that track. I'm good at that track. So hopefully we can make the top 4.
All right.
We'll be rooting for you. I think looks like the last event we had, I ran the Spotlight Snowball Series last week at the Radicals. We were at Laguna, brought it home P3, and we got to test the same caution software that MTech is using. Michael Led actually hooked me up with the guys that wrote it, and they sent me a copy of it and showed me how to use it. It's pretty simple, and it's pretty handy for if you want to throw the occasional caution at a road course.
So what does that mean when you want to throw a caution at road course? How does that work?
you don't want to throw a caution every time somebody's wrecked, but it does add an interesting strategy if there's the chance the caution may come out throughout the race. So what MTech has is a software that counts the total number of incidents that everybody has made on the track. So every time anybody gets an off track or a wreck or whatever, it starts adding those up. And what you do is ahead of time you pick a number that you want it to start flashing at you, and it'll start flashing at you, and then you just reach over to whatever you key you've got set for throw yellow, and you throw the yellow. And we ended up having, I think, 3 cautions in that Laguna race because we were all racking up 1Xs like crazy. We kind of guessed wrong on how many incidents we wanted to cap it at. So it gives you strategy. It gives a chance for the field to get bunched back up at road courses, which is usually a part of racing. That's the one part that's missing from road courses. But you don't want to be going, kind of like when we had our race at the silly race at the Speedway, you don't want to be going caution every 2 laps. So this gives a good balance of getting that strategy, but at the same time, not spending the whole race pace lapping.
I was going to say that'd be definitely good, son. Try for our next fun race.
Well, I've got it ready when we do it.
That's pretty cool. Kind of randomize it, you know.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to do the same number every time, especially if you're live admin. You could say, okay, the first one's going to be 30 X's, and the next one's going to be 60 X's. You could completely pick it randomly.
I like it. All right, let's jump to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
2 quick things real quick. I signed up for the Podium 500, the Podium Esports version of their Daytona 500. So that's next weekend with all their qualifying and all their heat races and last chance qualifiers before the main event on Sunday. So I'll give that a shot. You know, not expecting a whole lot, but it sounds like a good event and a good experience, so I'd try that. The other quick thing was, I was telling you about when I was racing the OBRL race on Monday, I had an issue. Well, one of my butt kicker LFEs actually fell off my rig. I took a look at it, and the bolt that clamps it to the rig actually broke. So I actually wound up emailing the company. It's like a little less than a year old. I emailed the company, and they apologized, and they're going to send me a brand new unit. I'm going to return the old one. So I just want to give Butt Kicker a shout out for good customer service. They're standing by their products, and so I'll get that new one and get that mounted back on.
We need to get in there and spot for you during the Podium 500 and make sure you got the right support to win that race.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That'd be great. I'll give you guys. I'll post when my times are and see how it goes.
Are there still sign-ups for that yet, or is it done?
No, I think it's still going on. Right up until the race day, I think.
Yeah, get it, Greg. Get in there.
I'm contemplating it just to get some time out on the track.
Well, I work on the weekends, but I'm available in the evenings. But I'll see if I can spot for you guys if you're in it.
No, Bobby ran it last year, and he ran into some kind of issue that left him not too happy with the admins. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, I kind of recall that too, but I think they were aware of it and they were going to adjust. So we'll see how that goes. All right, David Hall, final thoughts?
Once again, it was exciting and fun as heck to run behind Lanny Castle and Anthony Alfredo, who's definitely one of the Cup drivers I'll be rooting for this year. He was our first Cup driver to come on the show, if you recall. Well, he wasn't a Cup driver at the time, but now he is. That was exciting. It was also exciting for our team to have such a good, clean finish. It may have been 33rd split, but there were 50 splits, and there were real racers in that split. Also, I'm looking forward to running the final race in the Snowball Series tonight, and I will be taking the green with a 15-point lead. So I might be celebrating my first iRacing League championship after tonight. We'll see.
All right, get it. All right, Greg Hector's final thoughts.
I don't really do any much racing this week besides the 24. I've been busy doing a bunch of other things. But no, I got the qualifying coming up here for the Pro Invitation, or the Ian Porsche Series for Canada here coming up over the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to get out on the track and start putting some laps down for that and getting ready for that. So starts tomorrow. is the first day of setting your time. So I hope to get in as much as I can and keep setting times at every point I can, just to see if I can get faster and faster to try and qualify for this series and hopefully run it.
Okay, very good. Tony Rochette, final thoughts.
I'm definitely enjoying this new 80/20 rig that I got from Track Racer. It actually took them a week to deliver it, several boxes, but I got it all together, and I didn't have any missing pieces or anything like that. It's definitely a new experience and a better experience for me. I know this weekend I've been last few weeks I've been working really hard and a lot, but this weekend I'm going to try to put my base shakers on, and hopefully I can make it into a top 4 for the OBR road race for either the Xfinity or the Cup race. So, but other than that, excited for NIS to start up in a few weeks, and let's get it.
And you've experienced this, the seat compared to the pedals is just rock solid. There's no movement. How much has that helped?
Oh, definitely helped. Like I said, I think my braking, one of my issues with road courses was my braking, and I think that's how far my pedals were and my angle of my feet and everything else. With this rig, I can brake a lot smoother, and I actually might be running some more road stuff this year.
Okay, well, enjoy the rig. All right, my final thoughts. Wow, Daytona was fun. I got my 3 hours in, and I had no wrecks, no incidents. I had a couple little 1Xs, just off, on the grass just a little bit. But it was an uneventful race for me, and that's what I wanted. So other than that, I'm ready for Daytona 500. I'm excited for it. I hope we can come up with a set. That's kind of a fear I have, that can we be competitive set-wise. But other than that, I think we're ready. So with that, we'll see you on the track later.